Okay, it is my privilege to just talk a little bit about our guest speaker today. Many of us already know Reverend Denise DeSimone. And for those of you who are newer to this congregation or new today, she is an author, an ordained interfaith minister, a personal mentor, and a certified sound healer, and is also certified in many other healing modalities. So from a medical standpoint, she is a blessed woman to have survived stage 4 throat and neck cancer, a journey which led her to author her book entitled From Stage 4 to Center Stage. 22 months after being warned that she may never sing again, Denise sang to a sellout crowd of 37,000 Red Sox fans at Boston's Fenway Park. And today's topic I don't believe today she's going to talk about her story, so I really ask everyone who's interested just to get a copy of this book. It is so inspirational, and I wanted to just read 2 quotes that especially touched me. She had just found out that she had the cancer, that there was a possibility she was going to die, and she was told she needed to start befriending her cancer and talk to it, really just find out what the message was it was trying to tell her. And she said, I had to trust the process and I needed to trust God. And at the same time, I knew I needed to allow for my humanness. I needed to feel all of it. And she prayed, Dear God, I know I am being held at this time. Together we will see me through this challenge with strength, gentleness, and most of all, love. I see my body strong and healthy, knowing there are many more healthy cells than there are diseased. I will sing myself to wholeness, laugh myself to health, and breathe myself into balance. So there was just one more. I loved it so much because this really is it. This is for each and every one of us. She made a deal with God. I knew there was a bigger reason why this was happening. I just couldn't identify it at the time. I didn't know, but I knew God did. Making a deal with God, I dropped to my knees. God, here's the deal. I surrender. I'll endure the treatment the medical experts are describing as the worst treatment there is for any type of cancer. I place the outcome in your hands. If I am to die, then I die. But if I live, it better be good. You and I will co-create a life that allows me to use my life in a big way to be an inspiration to many. So today is a special day for Denise because she's introducing a brand new CD and a new workbook. It's called Life, which stands for Live in Full Expression. And there's copies in the bookstore. And this is a set of 6 CDs, and she shares her life lessons on how to live fully expressed. That's what we're all here for. And it comes with a You Deserve It workbook. So she'll be signing books after the service. And so I would now like to give a warm welcome for Denise DeSimone.
Wow! Thank you. Lisa, thank you. I should reread my book, huh? You almost had me in tears. And those prayers, the editor, I said, you can't edit any prayers. All the prayers in my book I journaled a lot. And today I'm not going to talk about my journey because you all know me, and for those of you who don't, I have been a unitic for many years, and I am one of the first 25 people that were members of this church so many years ago. I think we're almost out of our, as Shipley said, we're almost out of our teen years, and I've been here pretty much those 16, 17 years. So today, when I was asked to speak, It was a few months ago, and then about a month ago, Carol Walrazak emailed me, and she said, hey, what's the title of your talk? And I said, that. Well, I'll get back to you. And so for about a week, for some reason, on my bookshelf, Marianne Williamson's book, Illuminata, was vibrating. You know how books jump at you at the shelf? And so the book's like going, hey, over here, over here. And I'm saying, I've already read you. And it's a good resource book. This went on for like 4 days. Finally, I said, okay, I picked up the book. And before I picked up the book, I said, oh, okay, I get it. I'm listening. When I open this book, wherever my eyes fall, whatever I read at the first glance will be what I speak about. And I hold the book, and I go into a little bit of silence, and I open the book, and I see money. And I said, really? Really, money? Yup, money. So I need to hear what I'm saying as much as anybody else, because money's an interesting thing, isn't it? So I said, all right, I'll talk about money, because sometimes talking about money gets people a little squirmish, right? Well, I hope today you don't squirm too much, because you know me. If you know me, really at the core of me is my personal mission statement is to compassionately spread joy and encourage laughter. So whatever I do always has a lot of that. So don't get too panicky about what we're talking about today. Because when we're paying attention, like I was paying attention to what Marianne's book said and what Spirit was asking me to do, and the book vibrating, everything kind of flows, you know, like the river, right? It's a perfect song for today. By the way, how great are they? Thank you, Brian. And so why do we think that being spiritual means having no money? Or what Marianne says in her book is, purity does not mean the absence of cash. Why do we think? And for some of us, we do. Maybe some of you out here can just take a nap right now because you got it all handled about money. But even if people have a lot of money, there's issues that come with having a lot of money as well as issues that don't have a lot of money, right? People that don't have a lot of money have issues. Money is so interesting. And there's nothing wrong with money. And there's nothing wrong with having lots of it. In fact, it's really, really, really healthy. What I've learned in the past few years is to have as much of it as we want. But make it be our choice, not as a default because we're afraid of it or because it's bigger than we think or we think it's our master. No, money's not our master. Money is our servant. You know, I spent time in California. I don't really care much for the winters anymore, because I don't physically like it. I get cold and I can't get warm, so I thought, I'll just go to sunny California. So I went to California for 3 months, and then I spent a month in Nashville, Tennessee. And while I was in California, I noticed people play really big out there, yes? They drive really big cars, and they live in huge houses. Even the streets are wide. I mean, no, really, it's so expansive out there. It's ridiculous, you know? You come here and you go over to Marblehead or even the street. I live on Dove Street in Newburyport. It's really narrow. There is not a narrow street to be found in California. It's kind of trippy. Like everything is abundant. Everything is big. Everything is wide. And I learned something. I heard something out there. And I heard someone say, people who are awake need to have a lot of money. Think about it. Are you awake? Then you need to have a lot of money. And why do people who are awake need to have a lot of money? Because we can be awake and we can raise the vibration, because money's just a vibration. We are all vibration. We need to raise the vibration. We need to do good things with our money to make the planet a better place, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out there. And money sometimes can help. Money in our voice, but money behind a voice has a little bit more power to it. And money can be used to heal mostly ourselves. And some teachers I read that they claim that our relationship to money is a reflection of us and what we think about ourselves. And it's kind of like manifest self-esteem, if you will. And it's not to say that everyone who has a lot of money has no issues of self-worth or self-esteem. But for those of us who practice spirituality, sometimes we are unwilling to be really fully embodied with the whole money thing. But if we truly truly, truly, truly tune in, if we truly tune ourselves into the ultimate source, which is what? Who's the ultimate source? God is our ultimate source. The universe is so abundant. If we tune into that, it's what Jesus said in Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things should be added unto you. Now, he didn't say some things and once in a while. Amy's giving me a thumbs up. He said, all things shall be added unto you. And Einstein said, in his own brilliant way, match the frequency of that which you desire, and it cannot help but be yours. It's not philosophy, it's physics. And that's what we're going to do this afternoon, is get our frequency, our vibration raised up. Because what he's saying is bring your infinite mind connected and be increasingly present to that source of infinite abundance. And easily and gracefully we can move in and through it. And it's taken me a long time to get a handle on this. You know, you've heard me say before, if you've been here before, no one will ever outperform their own self-image or their own hidden self-image. That's a really good one. And I asked this question last time I was here. What do you really think about yourself? And that's not a question we can answer just one day and, oh, I think this. Because sometimes we go in and out of it. We have moods, we have changes, things that are going on. But it's a good question to ask. Because we never will outperform our own hidden self-image. And this is how magnetizing the abundance of the universe. We're talking about money, but this is reverberating out to all abundance today. Not just money, but money is a little bit of the focus so we can talk about how to magnetize ourselves to everything. And that's a tough question. Think about it. What do you really think about yourself? You know, a little bit about when I was diagnosed, and I asked Pin, which was my cancer, what I named my cancer, okay, let's dialogue, let's talk, let's befriend, let's make friends. And the first thing that Pin said to me was, stop beating yourself up for nothing. And when I indignantly said, I'm not, Pin said, yeah, it doesn't feel that way in here. I got a It's always good when you get a So I ask you, everyone has a pin. Everyone has something that's niggling at you. We all do. Might be on a daily basis. Maybe we're free from it for a day or two, whatever, but there's always something. Get to the bottom of that. Get to the source. And I don't believe we change. People go, oh, I'm going to change. No, we don't. I don't believe we change. I believe we wake up. Don't you think so? People are nodding their heads. We wake up, and it's time to wake up. Emerson said, stand at the portal of your mind. Waking up means we are thinking and in a way that our vibration is more aligned with the divine mind. Because as toxic foods and all kinds of toxic chemicals and things they spray on our food creates a lack of oxygen and zaps our energy in our blood system, toxic thoughts do even worse. And when I got sick, I had to really think about what my thinking was. I had a lot of time to think about what I think about. And I can't really speak without mentioning what's at the core of my message is always self-love. If you know me, you know that self-love is the all-time greatest healer. And Pin also told me, the more you love yourself, the less reason for me to stick around. Well, how do you do that? That's for another day or talk or my book if you're interested. But self-love is really where we need to be at, because then there are miracles in the universe. We are miracles. So therefore we are miracle magnets. And we can miraculously, while we're holding a certain level of vibration, attract every miracle. And things don't have to be difficult. We just have to pay attention, right? So I want to tell you a little story about the latest. I always show up with a miracle, because they're always happening to me. And I'm surprised when miracles don't happen, not when they do. But this one surprised me. So about a month ago, I get another little knock. Hi, it's Spirit. Yes, Spirit. You need to sell your car. Sell my car. Okay. I had a really nice big Toyota Highlander. And I drove up and down the East Coast and all around filled with books. And I'm not doing that anymore. If people want me to speak now, they have to fly me there and fly me home. And so I said, well, I don't really have to sell my car, but so I'll just kind of softly put it out there on Facebook. And if I sell it, I sell it. If I don't, I don't. No big whoop. Well, 2 days later, I sell my car. Now I don't have a car. Okay, now hello, Spirit. I'm knocking. Okay, what do we do now? Rent a car. Rent a car? Yeah, just go rent a car. So then I go off, and we do some test driving for cars, but it didn't work out, right? So now, 2 weeks before that, I got a call from a woman who was dealing with brain cancer. I read your book, or I listened to I have an audio book, because people are dealing with cancer, sometimes they don't want to read, so I recorded the entire book myself. I just listened to your book. I'm in intensive care. They just operated on my brain. I have 8 tumors. I need to see you. You need to be with me. I need you. Please come and be with me and work with me. Okay, call me when you get home. She calls me on the way home from the hospital in the car. Okay, I'm heading home. When can you come? So now I know this is serious stuff, right? So I go off in my rent-a-car, and I go off to Marblehead, and she and I are down in her healing room down in the basement, and we're doing shamanic stuff, and we're talking and everything. I spend 3 hours. I come out. It's pelting, pouring like the deluge we had last week. And I left the windows open, like about this much. That's what I said. Oh, Lord. But I'm happy. I didn't feel great about it, because I do live in integrity, that it got wet. But it was a rental car. So I didn't feel that bad. And I said, oh, Mother of God, I can't believe it. And her husband said, what's the matter? And I said, well, whatever, I have a rent-a-car, and it's all wet. And he said, why are you renting a car? I said, well, so I tell him, and she yells from downstairs, can you drive a Standard? I said, yeah, why? You're supposed to be sleeping. Take my car. Take my car? She said, yeah. Well, she's got double vision. In fact, her name is Andrea, and I would appreciate if we could just pray for her, that her vision comes back in alignment and that she starts to see everything in focus. Because she's a beautiful soul, as everyone here is. So this healing energy. And so she said, well, they told me that I won't be driving for at least 2-3 months, maybe longer, and I see no reason. My car needs to be driven. Would you please drive my car? Thank you, God. So now I can go find whatever car I want. I can go take my time. And she's happy. She said, because you're just going to drive my car, and it's not going to be sitting in the driveway. And I said, okay, thank you. You see, I tell you things like this because I am no different than you. In fact, you probably have more energy around this than I do. We just have to know that we do. I've just had more time. When I had time to sit in the silence and I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink water, I couldn't speak, I couldn't sing, I couldn't do all that. The absence of all of that brought in a lot of the presence for me, and I got real clear about vibration. And so miracles can happen in every way, every day. We just have to be open enough to the law. We have to know that the law of vibration, people think the law of attraction is primary. No, it's the law of vibration. And the law of love. Love is the highest form of vibration. So if we are always functioning, being able to stand at the portal of our mind, think loving thoughts, especially about ourselves, we cannot help but manifest. Because when we look around, what do we see? Do we see an abundant universe? Or do we look at lack? If you look at lack, or the half-full glass is half full, start just doing things to shift it. And I know I'm speaking to the choir here, not just you guys, but... Because, you know, lunatics are pretty good, but we look around and see, just tap into that. You know, yet money, the money thing, money causes so much stress, doesn't it? Wouldn't you agree that money can just stress us out? And stress is the #1 cause of dis-ease, disruption in our being, disturbance of our homeostasis. That's all dis-ease is. So when we start worrying about money, there's so much money floating around. Just go like that and let's start grabbing it. Let's magnetize. Because when you think about it, let me ask a few of you, where's your money? Exactly. In our consciousness, people think it's in our bank. Oh, my money is in the bank. I ask people, where's your money? Oh, it's in my wallet. You want some? No. It's in the bank. No, it isn't. It's in our consciousness. Money is not what we pass around. That's paper with ink on it, right? But how often do we give that little piece of green paper so much power, right? So much power, always. And you know what? We don't need to do that. Because we can decide that if we're doing our job, right? Because we can't just make money for no reason. Money is earned. A lot of people think, money, we can go play the lottery. You know what, guys? I grew up, I love my dad, God rest his soul. But I grew up with a guy who played the lottery every day. He had stacks of lottery tickets like this. Lottery is not going to help us be wealthy. Now, that's a consciousness that I grew up in. So you think it took me a little time to get my head around this? Just a little bit. And my dad and my mom, they were great people. I'm all Italian. They fed me well. They loved me all over me. But, man, there was some crap about money. And they also told me that you don't go to work. And you read my book. Listen, this book is, don't you agree? You know more about me than anybody in this room right now if you've read my book, because I just was all out. I was all in to give it all out, to give people permission to do the same, because when we're vulnerable, we can really show up in life. And I'm being honest and open about some stuff in my life. And my mom and dad, God bless them, they worked real hard. And they told me, you don't go to work because you like it. You go to work to make money because you need to pay the electric bill. It sounds funny, but it isn't. How many of you don't have to raise your hands, grew up in that kind of mentality? Because I love what Marianne Williamson says. She says, when that is our attitude, that we don't work for the money, when that is our attitude, that we are not doing our job for the money, we are at our most abundant. Internal abundance produces external abundance. I love that. Internal abundance produces external abundance. And it's time, we have to create a new context for experiencing wealth, right? Because I know I took a vow as a child. I heard money doesn't grow on trees. Yeah, money's the root of all evil. Well, were you in my house? How come we all know that? That is not true. Those are not affirmations that we should be living by, but bam, we know those, just like we know some of the best Eagles songs. I took a personal vow. We all took vows as children. I took a vow of struggle because that's what I grew up in. And it's taken me years to change the subconscious patterning, because that's where this stuff is. I just did a great program. If you want, email me, go to my website and email me, and I'll tell you about a program I just did. 12-week program every single day, but with John Assaraf on an audio, changing the patterning in my subconscious about wealth and abundance. And cancer helped me do that. Before I got cancer, I was in high tech. I was making a boatload of money. I earned 6 figures, 5-6 years in a row, and then I created cancer. Now, people might look at me and go, you think you created cancer? Yeah, I'm sorry. I have the ability to respond, which means I take 100% responsibility for everything in my life. And I created cancer because I needed to get a handle on some very deep-seated stuff. All cancer was an invitation for me. It was a doorway to transformation, as anything in your life is. Cancer was an invitation for me to look more deeply into my emotional body. Today we're talking about money. So I strongly suggest, and this is something I talk about in my life program, this came from my teaching for the last year and a half. Every Monday night I teach a live class at 8 o'clock called Life, Live in Full Expression. And one of the things I strongly suggest, is that people get a picture of themselves as a child and keep that picture front and center. Not just to say, oh, coochie coochie coo, aren't you cute? You can do that as well. That's to pour out the love. But it's because as children, we were imprinted with all this stuff about money and life. My mom had a rule book of life. Well, I have a wallet. I have 2 pictures. I have 2 wallets. And when I open that wallet, I see the picture. If you know me, you know these pictures. I see it, and I will spend time every day changing the imprinting by saying, my adult self, the person who knows, I can reprogram your patterning. I can lift the imprint. I can repattern. Get pictures of yourself as a child. Why? Because we deserve to feel and live fully expressed, an abundant, peaceful, prosperous, stress-free, happy, awesome life, yes? Absolutely. Give me an amen. Yeah, amen, sister. And I don't have time to get into it, but it really ties in with deserving. I've dedicated an entire CD to deserving because that's all tied up in this. But really the way you want to know about and increase our deserving is to be grateful. The more grateful we are for what we have, the more we start to feel deserving. And I want to talk just for a minute about what George Bernard Shaw said. He said, "It is the duty of every person to be rich, and it is a sin to be poor." When I heard that, I was like, really, Georgie? A sin to be poor? Now, when you think about who he wasn't just some famous guy who didn't care about people and just said that off the cuff. He was born in the mid-1800s. He won the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature in 1925. He had deep concern for the underdog. He did a lot for the underdog and the poor people. And he was also a very early supporter of women's rights when it wasn't the cool thing to be doing. So does he know something? So it makes us look and go back into what the divine law says. When he says sin, you know, I grew up a Catholic. Sin, well, there were venial sins, there were mortal sins. You didn't want to do a mortal sin, I'm telling you that. Venial sin, you know, the nun said, stick out your tongue if there's a white line on it, that's a mortal sin. You know, you run around talking like this, you know. So what does sin mean? Really, sin means the transgression of law. It's going backward, not going forward. We don't want to go backwards, we want to go forwards, right? And when we're put here to go forward, we're put here to do something in our hearts to find our purpose, to do something to move forward in our lives so we can choose a field that you love. If you're just working for the money, stop doing that. Stop it. Life is too short. You don't know. I don't know if I'm going to live to see tonight. I hope I do. But if our moments in our life is so precious, and if you are doing something, and it's just for the money, and it's what you do, just do it in a way that makes a difference and matters to you. I don't care if you're the president of your own company, or you decide to go collect trash. Do it and be it 100% from a core place that your cells are happy because you're doing that. Because abundance is something we attract, and this is what we're going to talk about in the Sound of Your Dreams workshop. You know, I have more to say, but I think I want to move forward and tell you, Jack Boland, who was one of the earliest unity ministers from years and years and years ago, he used to take money out, and he would kiss money. And he'd say, I love money. People were like, oh, this guy's a little too much for me. He'd make out with money on stage. And some people would actually get like physically nauseous, like that's really bad. But you know what he said? Abundance is something we magnetize. And money will not go where it is not loved. Think about it. Because our consciousness determines our results about anything. So if we don't love money, money is not going to love us. And in receiving money, I want to end with this. The law of circulation is real important. And another place we get real squirmish is when we talk about tithing. Oh, don't talk to me about tithing. Tithing is a message, and this is something I came up with years ago. I thought, you know what? It's just, all tithing is a message from myself to myself that I am prosperous. You know, and I get to keep 90% of it. Now, you don't have to tithe 10%. And I had an experience, you'll read about it in my book. If you don't read my book, I'll do the short, condensed version of it. When I was between going through my treatment and then I had a radical neck dissection and a 4.5-hour operation to remove the left side of my neck, I wasn't going to do that because I was denied disability, and I said, oh, talk about thinking about money. And so I came off to church one Wednesday night. I was well enough to drive myself at that point. So I go off to church and I leave my checkbook in the house safely tucked away because I ain't giving nobody nothing. Because I don't have enough to give anybody anything. I go to get in my car and I almost can't put the key in the ignition. And Spirit says, where are you going without your checkbook? And I have this conversation in the car a couple minutes. I go back, I get my checkbook. Spirit says it's not time to be constrained. It's time to free. It's time. You want money? Give it away. Go support your church. So I write a check for more than I was comfortable writing. And I said, all right, here's the deal. Surrender doesn't mean give up. It means open up. My faith is stronger than my fear. Fear will bow its head to faith if you give it enough faith. So I stand in faith and I write a check and I come here. And a friend of mine says to me, I want to talk to you after service. I said, okay. So we sit in the back and she says to me, I'm going to say something to you and there's no responding. You just have to sit and listen. And there's no a yes or no. I already made my mind up and this is what's going to go on. And I said, oh, okay. So she tells me, she understands that I've been denied disability and that I'm going to have surgery, and I'm thinking I'm not going to have it because I need to get back to work. And she says, well, I'm going to gift you several $1,000s, like over $10,000. And I immediately said, no. And she said, no, this isn't up for discussion. Now, had I don't know if she was going to do that before I decided to step out in faith. But if you want to test your faith, start tithing. I'm not here to tell you to give it to Unity. I'm here to tell you to experience abundance in your life in a way that says from you to you, I am prosperous. The best way to do it is trust the process. And it says in the Bible, that's the process. Whether you agree with the Bible or not, I have tested it, I have proven it. Step out in faith. Because really what we're here to do is to be prosperous. We're here to love ourselves. We're here to know money is not our master. Money is our servant. Now we're going to go into meditation in a few minutes, and I want to tell you something, because what we're going to do is we're going to do this in meditation. There's a way to affirm, not money is the root of all evil and all of that. There's ways to do affirmations. And something I learned recently is affirmations are great, but when we can anchor it in with something that's true. When I say I am healed, whole, and healthy, my name is Denise DeSimone. Feel the difference? I am a prosperous, beloved child of God, therefore I am abundant mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Today is July 7th. I love my life, thank you, God. Today is Sunday. So the best way to do this, for this exercise, is going to be to say your name after the affirmations that I give you. So when all is said and done, we have 3 questions to ask. Did I live, did I love, and did I matter? Did I live my life to the fullest, not somebody else's? Did I love open-heartedly, compassionately? God bless you. Knees on the truth. Thank you, Astrid. Did I love open-heartedly, and did I matter? Did some part of my life, did something I put out there in life, did it matter to somebody? Not everybody, maybe not everybody. But did it matter to somebody? And that's really all we have to ask, not at the end of our lives, but at the end of every day. Thank you. I love you. God bless you. Mwah.